Hi everyone, my name is Betty Lay. Today I'm going to demonstrate some video production techniques for a video tutorial that I'm working on using TechSmith Camtasia version 2018. Up here on the screen you can see I have a script that I'm following. The name of the script, the video will be called Appointment Colors, and I'm going to be showing you the first couple things here where we're going to be working with some assets in the very beginning. We're going to be laying in some images. So I'm going to show you some fades and some zooms I'm going to add to those images. So I'm going to slide this over. And in Camtasia, I have my assets in the media bin over here. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to pull down the feature intro. I'm going to also bring the music that comes in the very beginning. We call this the music in and down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down my narration. And according to the script, the next image that's going to come down will be this one, and then this one, and then this one. So what I'd like to do is get everything kind of laid out in advance. So I have my music, my narration, my intro, and my 3 images. And while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and get my narration trimmed up right where the narration would begin, where this first waveform starts. We want to go and trim that just about a second. And over here is where we would split it in Camtasia, and I'm just going to delete that out. And I generally like to go about 6 seconds in with this intro, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to bring my annotation down, and where these assets come in the very beginning of this intro, they're kind of pre-built in. And if you look at the viewer over here, I'll make this just a little bit larger so you can see it. When I slide the playhead over, they're kind of built in, and it says Dentrix Ascend. Right when that last the fade comes in fully is where I want to put a title in. So I'm going to drag down my annotation, and you can see that now appear over here. I'm going to slide this down, and I'm going to put the title of this. It's called Appointment Colors. And what I'm going to do is just kind of drag this over and bring it down a little bit. That text is a little bit large, so I'm going to take that down to about a 75. So over here on the right hand side, you can see under the call out, I'm going to change that to 75. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And you can see that I'm centered in there. Now what I'm going to do is come over here and add my fades on here before I forget. And right where this annotation ends is where I'm going to have my image begin, because at that point I'm going to bring the feature intro here on the left hand side where it's highlighted. I'm going to bring my playhead to the end, and I'm going to extend this so that by the time the title rolls and finishes, then I'm going to go into to my first image. So I'm right clicking on this, and I'm going to hit extend frame, and I'm going to bring that all the way to where it won't go anymore, and it'll meet my image. And now what I'm going to do is drop a fade in there. So now when this plays through, to run it profitably, and we have our image automatically fade in. So now what I'm going to do on track 2 here is I'm going to move that narration to where it meets the very beginning of this track. And what's nice in Camtasia is it'll show you kind of this yellow line where it'll meet a track. So now I know it's going to be about a second in, and I'm going to start talking in my video tutorial. So that's just nice. So I'm pretty happy with that. And according to my script, I'm going to have something over here that's going to say, because I've recorded it in Audacity, that's going to tell me that the screen is going to shift in these 2 images from one screen to another, and that's syncing with the narration. So right about there is where I want the image to transition from the one image to the other. So that's how that's going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this image down to where this pause is, and the 2 are going to meet. That's what I usually like to do when I'm transitioning between images, is where there's a pause. One sentence ends and one begins is where I like to put in a fade in here and fade into the next image. Now you can see looking up here that this image is not filling the viewer. So what I'm going to do is reduce the size of this viewer, and I'm going to drag this image past it just a little bit to fit so we don't see black on the sides. And it doesn't have to be a whole lot, but what I am going to do is I'm going to add a animation in here. So I'm going to go past just a little bit more. So what I'm going to do now is where I'm going to move this playhead is I like to add the animation about sometimes between 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds after they've seen the image for a little while. So over here I hit animations, and I'm going to grab the custom and I'm going to drag this down right over top. And I'm going to start it right about there. And I'm going to drag this to about 2 seconds, a little over. So what this is going to do is it's going to take the image, and it's going to, somehow that just moved. Okay, I'm going to expand that again. I'm going to take this right to the end and where I want the image to be. So here it actually, I wound up, there we go. Take this past just a little bit more. I want to draw the viewer into this computer monitor, so I'm actually going to bring it more like this. So now, when I hit play,
to run a profitable and productive practice, it's important that your schedule.
I'd like that to be just a little bit lower. There we go. And actually going to extend this just a little bit more.
To run a profitable and productive practice, it's important that your schedule give you the information you need at a glance.
All right, that looks good. I'm happy with that. And now it's going to fade into the next image. And we can see here, when I lay this onto the image, I'm already past the view box, so that's good. Now what I'm going to do is I'd like to add an animation. Now I do have to be careful because I like something to be moving or something to be occurring. I generally don't like the image or the screen to sit idle for too long. So that's where adding some animations in here is really a good way to show something happening. So over here, I'm going to go to my animations again, which I'm already on, and I'm going to slide this down to this one. Now, the tricky thing with this is I want these two images so that when we're showing the viewer this, that they're going to be transitioning pretty seamlessly. So we have two sizes going on right now. So I'm going to spend just a few minutes trying to adjust the size of these. But first I'm going to add this animation in. So wherever this lands, I need to make sure this other image is the same size. So right now there is no animation. So when this dot turns red, that means wherever I adjust this now is where it's going to land. So I'm actually going to take this and just adjust it a little bit. Now I have to match this on the other picture. So I'm kind of taking a visual reference point here so that I know what to do with the next one to match that. So we're going to take this, and at this point I'm just kind of eyeballing it. And again, now what I'm doing is just checking between the two and trying to get them roughly about the same position on the screen. And this one is definitely up a little bit higher. So sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to get them where you need them to be. And I'm actually going to take this down just a little bit. And that looks pretty good. I am pretty happy with that. Okay, so now let's go ahead and listen to it from the beginning.
To run a profitable and productive practice, it's important that your schedule give you the information you need at a glance. Appointment colors can tell you a lot. Dentrix Ascend gives you the option to color your appointments two ways. by provider, or by procedure. By default,
So hopefully you
appointment
guys learned
colors
some
reflect the
pretty neat tips and tricks. Thank you for watching.